Hello there guys, what is going on? Daniel Childs back here again for another edition of Let's Talk Chelsea. Hope you're doing well and keeping safe on this Thursday. We've got some big news to get into. Chelsea close to signing another Fofana, this time from Norway. We'll get into that straight away. That is the big story from a lot of reporters today, and it's come out of absolutely nowhere, and how that's going to impact Chelsea's squad for Graham Potter in the second half of the season. There are some other reports out there. Joao Felix from Atletico Madrid, a potential loan in January. That would be a massive move, it really would. Memphis Depay, who's been linked to Chelsea before, and Dusan Vlahovic from Juventus, who also could be making a move in the winter transfer window. Before we get into any of that good stuff, I want to ask you guys, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss any of the uploads on the channel heading up to Christmas, and give the video a like for some Christmas cheer, because it really does help the channel out. But let's get into it. Firstly here, the big story today, broken by Fabrizio Romano this morning. Chelsea are on the verge of signing David Datro Fofana. Here we go soon. There's full agreement in place with Molde. Personal terms are still being discussed with the player. Then deal will be signed for more than €10 million fee. And this has been backed up later today by all the big outlets, The Athletic, and then also the seal of approval from Matt Law in the Telegraph, who says that teenage forward Fofana is expected to join Chelsea in January for a fee in excess of £8 million after stealing in front of Brighton, who had held talks over a move for the player. The spice in the Fofana story is, of course, that Brighton were apparently close to signing him. Liverpool maybe were linked before, but especially Brighton, with all the narrative in recent months, that is a big part of it. And Brighton fans obviously not happy today, but it's a shock, it really is, to see Chelsea get this deal over the line. And I tweeted out this morning, I think it is true, and I believe it, that, I think a lot of people have been criticising Chelsea for not doing deals like this. So, I think the thing that they maybe hope with Fofana as a low-risk deal for signing him at this stage of his career is that you see talents like him who will make a move maybe to, say, like Erling Haaland from Molde to Borussia Dortmund, and then you have to pay 60, 70, 80 million to get him out of there. Chelsea, Marco Correa signing him from Brighton for around 60 million. Could have signed him from Getafe 2 or 3 years ago for a much cheaper fee. Another Fofana, Wesley Fofana, we could have signed from St Etienne for around 30 million maybe. I know Chelsea as a bigger club always maybe going to be expected to pay a little bit more and be negotiated that way compared to other clubs, but you can see the strategy, right? And it hopefully costs you less in the long term, and you buy a player that you can develop on your own, and that is the big hope with Fofana. Just looking at some of his numbers, when he made the move to Norway in February of 2021 from the Ivory Coast, he scored 17 goals from 29 appearances in 2022. 15 of those have come in the league. 24 goals in 65 appearances in total since making that move to Molde, and he's already made an international appearance for the Ivory Coast. So really impressive young player, and those who have watched him, I'll also reference this tweet here from Marcus Bring, an analyst, who said that his underlying numbers are really good and he won't be staying there for long, which has proved to be the case. And it seems like Chelsea are going to get this deal over the line. Todd Bowley doing a hijack of his own. I'll be interested to know. I'm obviously not an expert on Fofana. Barely heard his name before today, but you see the potential there, and it's just that excitement and intrigue of also how is he going to fare at Chelsea, and also what are the plans for him heading into January and the rest of this season. Is he going to go out on loan like some have suggested, and maybe you would expect at his age, because you wouldn't want him just sitting on the bench for the rest of the season? Or does he come in and have an impact? But as we'll get into after this, there are other targets out there that could offer a more instant impact for Chelsea in January, and Fofana may just be a player that Chelsea will buy, they'll look to loan out, and then maybe bring him back next summer. But this is big, it really is. And let me know your thoughts on this deal in the comments below. Let's move on to the other story here. Chelsea offered Joao Felix and Matheus Cunha deals with Memphis Depay an option in the January transfer window. Any temporary deal for Joao Felix would require a significant loan fee and an option to buy him next summer. Wolves and Leeds are apparently concerned Chelsea could hijack their approach for Atletico forward Cunha, who is stalling on their interest after being told he can move in January. Chelsea have also explored a deal for Depay in the summer before moving for Aubameyang, and could reignite their interest after his positive displays for the Netherlands at the World Cup. Depay has 6 months left on his Barcelona contract and is available in January. Memphis Depay, was linked during the summer, and I think there are some who really wanted to see that happen, given maybe what Chelsea lack in attack. A technical player, someone who can one-on-one, really good with dribbling, really good in tight spaces, and can maybe be a bit more of a fluid player in that attack. Obviously, we went for Aubameyang instead. We will see how Aubameyang does when we do return to football in the second half of the season. But he could be available once again with Barcelona's finances and his contract situation. Joao Felix is a curious one, I think, just as a player, because given his stock where it was and his reputation when he made that mega move to Atletico Madrid in 2019, and thinking about where he is now, where he's being reportedly offered out to clubs, says a lot about where his career currently is at. And sure, he's still a youngish player, there still is years for him to go, and he could still very much reach that potential. I just find Felix a bit of a curious player, as I think maybe he's a little bit lost in the modern game, and that may just be the case of where he's at currently. He's at a club that, breaking news, plays counter-attacking football. I mean, you think back to his initial transfer in 2019, I could have told you that Diego Simeone plays counter-attacking defensive football for Atletico Madrid, and that maybe wouldn't suit a sort of a playmaker and expressive player like Joao Felix at an early age. That's not exactly breaking news, but he made that jump. That's what it is. And whether I feel like Joao Felix is what Chelsea need. I see a lot of comments in my video about central midfield, which, listen, I completely agree with you compared to attacking players. But if we're talking about players who I'd be targeting for the attack for striker, I would not be going to Joao Felix. I would maybe be going for Memphis Depay. I think he's really developed as a player and maybe could offer that instant impact that we're talking about. Another player who could offer an instant impact, this is from Ben Jacobs, that there is a very real possibility, he reports, that Dusan Vlahovic will leave Juve in 2023. A January exit is not being ruled out by those close to him. Several top European clubs are in touch with his agent, including Chelsea, although nothing particularly advanced at this point. So Vlahovic is incredible. This time last year, he was being linked with so many big European clubs. He was obviously doing really well. I think it was for Fiorentina, and scoring goals week in, week out. I think Arsenal were linked with him, and then eventually he made the move to Juventus in the January window, but it just hasn't really worked out for him. I mean, it's been a terrible year for Juve, in truth. Max Allegri, it just hasn't worked out. They've been knocked out of their Champions League group stage. A really terrible start to the season. And maybe it just hasn't fit for him. Whether he'd make the move to Chelsea, I know some people who have sort of delved into his numbers even before he made the move to Juve, that that season before he made the move was maybe a bit of an outlier in terms of his overall stats as a player and as a striker, and that's maybe something to be concerned about if you were to invest in him. And maybe that's what Juve are finding out now, that he hasn't been able to keep up that streak. So I'm not sure about Vlahovic, and I'm not sure how much this one would progress. But let me know in the comments below your thoughts on Vlahovic potentially being a Chelsea player in 2023. But that is it for today's news video. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch it. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and a notification bell so you don't miss any of the uploads on the channel. Follow me on Twitter at SonOfChelsea, and I will see you again very soon. All the best.